Welcome to Coins Hunter USA, the place where pocket change turns into hidden treasure. Every coin has a story, and today we're diving into one of the most collected and fascinating coins in American history, the Washington quarter. What looks like an ordinary piece of change could actually hold secrets, rare errors, and incredible value that most people never notice. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you might start checking your own quarters a lot more carefully. Top 1. Today's video might make you look at those coins in a very different way. Because the coin we're talking about today may look like any other quarter, but the truth is it hides some incredible secrets. We're going to explore the United States Washington quarter from 1998, a coin that seems ordinary at first glance, yet certain examples of it have shocked collectors with their value. So grab a seat, relax, and listen closely, because you won't want to miss what I'm about to share. Now, let's start with a little history. The 1998 Washington quarter has a very special place in American coinage. It was the last year of the classic Washington quarter design before the U.S. Mint launched the 50-state quarters program in 1999, which went on to become one of the most popular and widely collected coin series in the country. That means the 1998 quarter represents the closing chapter of an era that had lasted since 1932. Collectors often see it as both the end of tradition and the gateway into a new chapter in U.S. coin history. That alone gives it a level of importance, but it's not just history that makes this coin so interesting, it's the rarity and the errors that set certain examples apart from the millions of ordinary ones. You see, the U.S. Mint struck millions of Washington quarters in 1998. Most of them went straight into circulation, passing through countless hands, vending machines, and cash registers. Those regular circulated coins are, of course, only worth face value. But not every coin came out perfect. Some were struck with unusual mistakes, what collectors call mint errors. These are the coins that can transform a 25-cent piece into a treasure worth thousands. Some of the errors on the 1998 Washington quarter include off-center strikes, where the design isn't aligned properly on the blank metal, leaving part of the coin empty. Others have doubled dies, where the image of George Washington or the inscriptions appear doubled because of a misalignment during the minting process. There are even examples struck on the wrong type of metal planchet, making them incredibly unique. Error coins like these are rare by nature, because mistakes at the mint don't happen very often, and when they do, most are caught before they ever leave the facility. But a few slip through, and those few are what collectors dream of finding. Condition also plays a huge role in value. Most 1998 quarters you'll find are scratched up, dull, or heavily circulated. But when you find one that has been preserved in pristine, mint state condition, the story changes. At high grades like MS66, MS67, or higher, the value jumps dramatically. Coins with original shine, sharp details, and no signs of wear are incredibly scarce. Proof versions struck for collectors in 1998 can also be valuable, especially if they have strong cameo contrast or unusual minting anomalies. Proof error coins are particularly fascinating because they were made for collectors, yet somehow mistakes still occurred. These are the types of coins that get people talking in the numismatic world. What's so exciting about the 1998 quarter is that it proves not all rare coins are ancient or from centuries ago. Sometimes, modern coins from just a few decades ago can turn out to be the hidden treasures. And that's why collectors and even everyday people get hooked on this hobby. Imagine sorting through your spare change or coin jar and discovering that one of those quarters could actually be worth the price of a brand new car, or more. That sense of possibility is what makes coin collecting so thrilling. And now, the part you've been waiting for: how much can a rare 1998 Washington quarter really be worth? Well, while ordinary ones are just worth 25 cents, the rarest examples, the ones in flawless condition, the ones with dramatic mint errors, the ones collectors fight over at auctions, have sold for as much as $54,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $54,000 for a single quarter from 1998. That's the kind of money that makes you think twice about ever overlooking the change in your pocket again. So, if you've got some quarters lying around, maybe in a drawer, a jar, or tucked away in a box, take a careful look. You never know what you might have. It could be just an ordinary coin, or it could be one of those rare treasures that collectors would pay a fortune to own. Top 2. Now we're going to look at a coin that many people still have lying around in their drawers or tucked away in old collections, the Washington quarter from 1990. At first glance, it looks just like any other quarter, but let me tell you, certain examples of this coin have shocked collectors with their rarity and value. So stay tuned and listen carefully, because by the end of this video you might be looking at the coins in your pocket in a very different way. The 1990 Washington quarter belongs to the series that had already been running for decades. By this time, the design featuring George Washington on the obverse and the eagle on the reverse had become a familiar sight in American pockets. But even with millions of these coins minted, not all quarters are created equal. Some carry hidden details, mistakes from the mint, or are preserved in such flawless condition that they become treasures for collectors. That's what makes this coin so interesting, because while most are ordinary, a rare few are worth a small fortune. Let's dive into why. First, rarity often comes from minting errors. In 1990, just like in other years, a few quarters left the mint with problems during production. Some examples include off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the coin was not properly aligned. Others feature double dies, where the inscriptions or images appear doubled due to a mistake in the hubbing process. There are also rare instances where coins were struck on the wrong planchets. Imagine a quarter struck on a nickel or dime blank. These kinds of errors are highly prized because they are not only rare, but they tell a fascinating story of how even the most controlled minting process can let unique pieces slip through. Condition is another factor that adds incredible value. Most 1990 quarters have been used, tossed around in change, and show plenty of wear. But the ones that survived in pristine, uncirculated condition are extremely rare. Professional grading makes a huge difference here. Coins graded at mint state 67 or higher are scarce, and when they show strong luster and sharp detail, their value can skyrocket. Collectors love perfect examples because they're not just coins, they're works of art that capture history in flawless form. Now, let's not forget proof coins. In 1990, the U.S. Mint also produced special proof versions intended for collectors. While most proof coins are still relatively common, some with unusual toning, deep cameo contrast, or striking errors stand out and become much more valuable. Proof errors are particularly exciting because they were meant to be perfect showpieces, yet mistakes during production turn them into unique treasures. What makes the 1990 Washington quarter so attractive to collectors is that it represents modern history. It isn't centuries old, yet it can still hold incredible value. It reminds us that coin collecting is not just about ancient artifacts, but also about paying attention to the little details in coins that seem ordinary today. The thrill is in the hunt. You never know if the change you're holding has one of these rare gems hiding in plain sight. And now, the part you've been waiting for, the value. While the vast majority of 1990 quarters will only ever be worth 25 cents, the rarest examples, the flawless mint state coins and the dramatic error coins that collectors dream of owning, have been valued at an astonishing $66,000. Yes, you heard that right, $66,000 for a single quarter from 1990. That's the kind of number that gets coin lovers excited and reminds us all why it's worth taking a second look at the change in our hands. So, the next time you come across a Washington quarter from 1990, don't just toss it aside. Take a close look. You might be holding onto something far more valuable than you think. Top 3. We are diving into a very interesting piece of U.S. history, the Washington quarter from the year 1979. At first glance, it might seem like just another quarter, but as every true collector knows, the real value often lies in the small details. So if you're a coin lover, listen carefully, because this story is one you'll enjoy. The Washington quarter had already been in circulation for nearly half a century by 1979. With George Washington's portrait on the front and the American eagle on the back, this design had become one of the most recognized in U.S. coinage. But while millions of these coins were minted for everyday use, not every coin struck at the U.S. Mint is the same. Hidden among the ordinary are a few rare examples that collectors are willing to pay huge sums for. And that's exactly what makes the 1979 quarter such a fascinating subject. So, what makes certain 1979 quarters valuable? The answer is rarity, condition, and errors. Let's start with errors. During the minting process, mistakes sometimes slip through the system and produce coins that are one of a kind. Off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing, are among the most eye-catching. There are also doubled die coins, where the lettering or numbers appear doubled because of an error in the striking process. Some rare examples were even struck on the wrong planchet, meaning a quarter could be minted on a blank meant for a dime or even a foreign coin. These unusual accidents create coins that collectors chase after for years. Another key factor is condition. The majority of 1979 quarters were used daily, showing scratches, wear, and loss of shine. But when a coin survives in uncirculated condition, with sharp detail and bright luster, it becomes much more than just pocket change. The higher the grade, the higher the value, and collectors will pay top dollar for examples that are virtually flawless. Coins graded mint state 67 and above are exceptionally rare, and these are the pieces that really grab attention in the numismatic world. Proof coins from 1979 also add to the story. These were struck with special care, using polished dies, to produce coins with mirror-like surfaces and sharp details. While most proof coins are common, certain varieties, unusual toning, or striking errors can make them incredibly desirable. Proof errors are particularly exciting because they were supposed to be the perfect coins, yet they reveal how no minting process is completely without flaws. The reason collectors love the 1979 quarter so much is because it blends modern history with rarity. It's not an ancient coin, yet it carries unique stories from its time. Every scratch, every shine, and every error tells us something about how coins were made and how rare treasures can appear where you least expect them. For some, finding one of these quarters is more than just adding to a collection, it's about holding a piece of American history in the palm of your hand. Now here comes the part that always excites coin lovers: the value. While most 1979 Washington quarters will always be worth just 25 cents, the rarest examples, the ones with striking mint errors, or preserved in absolutely perfect condition, have stunned collectors with prices that reached as high as $89,000. Yes, you heard that right. A coin that most people wouldn't think twice about spending can, under the right conditions, be worth $89,000. That's what makes coin collecting such a thrilling journey. You never know when an everyday coin can turn into a life-changing discovery. Top 4: the United States Washington quarter from 1965. At first glance, this coin may look like any other quarter you've seen before, but trust me, it carries a story that makes it one of the most fascinating quarters you could ever find. Now, let's start with a little history, because the year 1965 wasn't just another year in American coinage, it was the beginning of a brand new era. Before this year, quarters were made of 90% silver. For decades, silver had been the foundation of America's dimes, quarters, and half dollars. But in the early 1960s, silver prices began to rise sharply, and the government faced a massive coin shortage because people started hoarding silver coins for their metal content. Banks were running out of coins, stores were struggling with change, and the U.S. Mint had to act fast. That's when a major decision was made. Starting in 1965, the mint replaced silver with a new composition, copper sandwiched between layers of nickel, known as clad coinage. This change ended the era of circulating silver quarters and began a completely new chapter in U.S. currency. And that's what makes the 1965 quarter so historic. It was the very first of this new generation of coins. But here's where things get exciting. Even though the mint had officially moved away from silver, some leftover silver blanks, called planchets, accidentally got fed into the presses in 1965. As a result, a very small number of 1965 Washington quarters were struck on silver instead of the new clad material. These are what collectors call transitional errors, and they are among the most coveted coins in modern numismatics. Imagine holding what looks like an ordinary quarter, only to discover it's actually a rare silver strike from a year it wasn't supposed to exist. That's the kind of discovery collectors dream about. Now, how do you tell the difference? A regular 1965 clad quarter weighs about 5.67 grams, while a silver quarter weighs closer to 6.25 grams. That small difference is a big clue. Collectors also test the sound of the coin. Silver coins make a distinctive high-pitched ring compared to clad coins. And of course, experts use precise equipment to confirm the metal content, but silver planchets aren't the only errors that make 1965 quarters valuable. Some coins were struck off-center, leaving part of the design cut off. Others feature double dies, where the letters or numbers appear duplicated, especially around "In God We Trust" or the date. There are also broad strike errors, where the coin was struck without the protective collar, causing it to spread wider than normal. Each of these errors transforms a common coin into a unique and valuable treasure. Condition is another major factor. Most 1965 quarters went straight into circulation and were used for decades in vending machines, parking meters, and pocket change. They got scratched, worn, and beat up. But the rare few that were carefully stored away and preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition are the ones that truly excite collectors. A coin with sharp details, full mint luster, and no signs of wear is worth many times more than one that's been through everyday use. Let's not forget about the collector's mindset. Part of what makes coins like the 1965 Washington quarter so thrilling is that they represent history in your hand. When you hold one, you're not just holding 25 cents, you're holding a story. You're holding the very first year of a new coinage system, a time when America shifted away from silver, a decision that changed the entire future of U.S. money. That makes this coin historically important, not just financially valuable. Now picture this: thousands of collectors across the country are constantly searching through coin rolls from banks, old jars of change, and inherited collections, hoping to stumble upon that one rare piece. It's like modern-day treasure hunting. Every time someone picks up a 1965 quarter, there's a chance, however small, that it could be one of those rare silver strikes or a dramatic mint error. That possibility keeps the hunt alive and makes the coin world so fascinating. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. While most 1965 quarters are only worth their face value of 25 cents, the rarest examples, those struck on silver planchets, or featuring dramatic mint errors, and preserved in exceptional condition, have amazed collectors and shocked auction houses with prices reaching as high as $96,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. $96,000 for a single Washington quarter from 1965. Imagine turning over your pocket change and discovering that one of your coins could pay for a brand new car, a college tuition, or even a down payment on a house. That's the thrill and the magic of coin collecting. So the next time you see a 1965 Washington quarter, don't just spend it without looking. Check its weight, inspect its details, and take a close look for unusual errors. You never know, you could be holding onto a small piece of history that's worth a life-changing amount of money. If you found this video interesting and you want to learn more about the hidden treasures in US coins, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Coins Hunter USA, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another story of rare and valuable coins. Who knows, the next coin we talk about might be sitting in your pocket right now.